What's up guys, Brennan here, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing a piano tutorial of the song Ylang Ylang by FKJ. So let's get right into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do new videos every single week, piano tutorials, piano covers, original songs, and I really appreciate every single one of you who watches my videos. And with that, let's get right into the video. Alright, so we're going to learn the right hand first because it's the hardest part, and then we're going to learn the left hand. So I'm going to play through just the right hand alone, and then we're going to break down how to learn it. And then it repeats. Okay, so it's a little tricky, it's a little jazzy. I will say before we get right into learning it, that the best way to go about learning this song is to practice it over and over and kind of memorize it completely. So we're gonna go ahead and break down how to learn it. So you're gonna start with, so we're just gonna break this up into sections. You're gonna start with your thumb here on F, hit it twice, cross over to D sharp, then you go, so that's F, A sharp, F. So all together it's okay. Then you cross over to E, D sharp. So all together it's try that with me again. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next part. So you stay here and you do a little walk up from D sharp, E, F. So now try the whole thing with that little walk up. Okay, now you go down to C, cross over to A sharp. So you're doing C twice. So now practice this whole thing together. Okay, let's go through it one more time, then we're going to learn the next part. Okay, now you do a little hard part where it goes. So it's a little quick, and you're going to have to practice that part. But, so you end here. Now your thumb goes through. So this is why you have to play this C with your thumb, because it goes cross over, and then your thumb has room to come down here. So you go F, G sharp, C, D sharp, back to C. Let's go over there again. F, G sharp, C, D sharp, C. But obviously fast, it sounds a little different. So you're gonna have to practice having the most difficult part of this song is having your hands kind of right where you need them to play the next note, because it goes very quick and jazzy. So just practice this a few times. Okay, so now let's put all this right hand part together from the top. Okay, now after that, you go to F, C, A sharp. F, C, A sharp. So all together it goes. So F, C, A sharp, All right, now you have this first little section down. Let's go through from the top, and then we're going to move on. Okay, guys. So next, you stay on this note and you do another little quick walk up. So it's A sharp, C, D sharp, F, and then it starts over. Okay? And then it starts over. Starts over. Starts over. So that's A sharp, C, D sharp, F, and then it starts over. Okay, so let's put this whole thing together from the top. And then it starts over. So it's, and then you go dun. So you're hitting this F 3 times. So it's, and then it starts over. So it's kind of on a loop, okay? So just know that you hit this F 3 times, but the 3rd time is when you start the whole section over. So now we're gonna learn that next section, put the whole thing together just so you know what I'm talking about. So here's the second section that we haven't learned yet. It is very similar to the first section, but slightly different. So here we go. So that's the same, F, D sharp. Now here's where it changes. You go D sharp, E, F. So try that. Now, you need to have room to come up here. So whatever fingering you want to do on this, I kind of switch it up a little bit, but just know that you need to have most of your hand up here. So what I mean by that is don't be playing it with your pinky, because then you're not going to have room to move your hand up here. So I usually do it with one of these first 3 fingers. So okay. Now we're going to move on to the next little part here. Jump up to A sharp, then C, then back down to E, D sharp. So let's go over that from the top. One more time. See what I mean about having most of your hand up here? So playing these with these 3 fingers allows the rest of your hand to easily reach up here. Whereas if I played it with like these 4, I'd have to jump unnecessarily, which just makes it a little more harder. So anyway, here we go. Let's do this from the top one more time. Then we're going to put both of these parts together. So that's the rhythm of it. Let's do it one more time. One more time, I'll slow it down a bit. Okay. Now you stay on this note and you go. So that's D sharp, E, F, C. So you go C, F, A sharp, C, F, A sharp. Okay, let's put this whole thing together. C, F, A sharp. Almost done with the second section here. Now, instead of doing the walk up like you did for the first time where it's, instead of doing it down here, you actually jump up and play it higher on the piano. So it's, Same thing like we learned, just instead of doing it down here, you're doing it up here. So practice jumping to that part from the top. C, F, A sharp. Now this is where you jump. Okay? Feel free to pause the video and practice that a couple times just till you have it down. Now, when you're up here, after you do that, it changes. And you go, which is very cool sounding. So it's C, D sharp, F. And you do it like a roll. So it's like, so it's roll, then you go back to C, A sharp after the roll. So let's put that whole part together. So remember, you end up down here, then you jump. Now, one thing that you should do here, highly suggest you do, is when you do this, switch to your thumb right here. So that's going to take a little bit of practice just to get your fingers to do what you want them to do. So you go, switch to your thumb. Switch to your thumb. Then you have more of your hand free to do the roll. And then you just cross over. See what I mean? So just practice that with the right fingering. So you go. Let me do it nice and slow. Okay, so now we're going to put this whole part together, both of these sections from the very top. Okay, let's practice it here. Feel free to pause the video and practice this over and over, because you really have to get this part 100% memorized, because then you're going to be adding things in the left hand, and if you don't have this right hand down, it's going to make it much harder. So go ahead and pause that video if you need. We're going to move on and learn the left hand here. Okay, so you're going to start with your pinky here on F. And then you jump up to these three keys. So it's A sharp, C sharp, and F. And you play these three at the same time. So it's, then you go back to F, and then you play these three. So you're moving your thumb only. So you're playing D sharp and your thumb. These three, move the thumb. Then you go back to the first one, move the thumb. So you're playing it a total of 4 times. So see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you move to pinky here on C sharp. And then you're going to play these three, F, G sharp, and C. So then you go back to C sharp, and you move your thumb just like we did in the first chord. So you're moving the thumb from C to B flat. So it's, times as well. So from the top, practice switching your fingers. Switch. Okay, so the next part in the left hand is very similar, but you go down lower on the piano and you have to do a lot of jumping. So this is going to take quite a bit of practice, just to give you a heads up. But it's going to be the same chords, which is a group of notes played at the same time, like this. But the first key that you play with your pinky, like that, instead of playing it right here, you're going to jump and play that alone down here. So it's going to be like this. So before you were playing it up here. But instead you're jumping to the same key, just lower on the piano. Same pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you do the same thing with the next chord. Normally you would play this. But instead, you do this one down here. So practice that. Okay, so let's practice doing both of these sections together. So remember at the beginning, you're playing everything up here. Move. Now that whole thing repeats. Move. Now, then you jump down here. Switch. Then that repeats. Switch. Okay guys, so on this song you will need to use the piano pedal. So if you're unfamiliar with that, I do have a video which kind of explains some more about the piano pedal, which you can check out right here. So a good rule of thumb is you push down on the pedal, lift, and push back down when you go to do the next part in the left hand. So you know how you go. So this is how you do the pedal. Push down, lift, and push back down right when you hit this next one. So whenever you're changing, whenever you're hitting this root note here, same for when you switch it, you need to press down and lift off the pedal. This is going to take some getting used to, but the more you play piano, it kind of comes naturally. So before you start, go ahead and press down on the pedal, and you go, then you lift and push back down, right when you hit this one. Lift, push back down. 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 So it's like a simultaneous thing. I'm going to show you an angle of my foot hitting the pedal just so you know exactly when to hit it. Okay, so go ahead and watch. Every time I lift and push back down on the pedal, right here. Okay, now that you know both parts, we are going to put everything together. So an important thing to note is that whole section we just learned in the right hand entirely repeats. So I'm going to play through what I mean from the top. Then you repeat. Okay, so now let's put both hands together. And this is going to be a little tricky to get the timing down, but the best way to learn is just to follow along with this video and practice it over and over, and eventually it will get much easier. So here we go. So remember to have your fingers kind of before you start ready on where they need to be. So you know that you need to play this one in the right hand and you need to be on these in the left hand. Okay, so these you're going to start at the same time. So then you go. So try that with me. From the top. That's a little tricky. We're going to just try it nice and slow. Just remember that you play each, you have to get this pattern in the left hand exactly so that you don't have to think about it and you can just do the pattern, because the right hand's hard and the left hand's hard. So if you have both down separately, it's easier to put together. Here we go, from the top. So it's nice and tricky. Let's do it again. Walk up. Okay, try it again. Now this is when you switch. Okay, so let's practice that switching. Okay, from the top, let's do both parts again. Remember to have your hands ready where you need them. Switch. Okay, let's go over it again. Remember that you have to do this thing really quick, so it kind of comes between the chords. So, like I said, just practice it over and over, and eventually the timing will get easier and easier. But even for me to learn the song, to be able to teach it, it took me almost a day of practicing it to really get everything down pat. So don't beat yourself up too hard if you're having trouble with this. Just keep going and keep practicing. And here we go. Let's go over it again from the top. Hands ready where you need them. Switch. So right when you go to this one, this chord, just know that's when you have to do the walk up next. So what I mean, let's go over it again. Okay, from the top, one more time. I know we're going over this a lot. This is just to help you memorize it. Here we go. So just to go over the second section, because it's a little harder, let's focus in on this. So do the walk up. Okay, let's practice it again, and then we're going to do the next part. Okay. So after you play this last one, you have to move back up to the beginning and start over. So when you play this last one, you go, the part we learned. And then it starts over. So I'm going to show you what I mean. We're going to do the whole thing nice and slow. And then it starts over on the second section. Then you do the jump. The best tip I can give you on this is your left hand is kind of like the drummer. If you were to picture the piano as like an entire band, the left hand is the drummer. They're keeping rhythm. And you might know if the drummer is off in a band, it throws everything else off. So it's the same thing for your left hand. Your left hand has to be on the same beat. So what I mean is, here's how you could be playing it wrong. If you were like, that's not the exact same beat. The rhythm of it should be like this. Not changing at all. Even when you switch. That's how people run into trouble, is when you're switching from one chord to the other, and if you wait too long, it can throw everything else off. So it needs to be exactly the same beat the entire time. Which is where practice comes in, because the more you practice it, the more it's going to be automatic and you don't have to think about it. And then, because you're keeping this steady in the left hand, you're really just matching the right hand to fit with this beat. So just keep that in mind when you're learning this, because it is a little tricky to put both hands together on the song, because you're doing a lot of moving in the right hand. So with that in mind, let's go over the whole first section before you start doing the jumping in the left hand, okay? Nice and slow, here we go. Hands where you need them. So it's a little tricky on this next section. So remember, you do the walk up, starts over. Then you switch. Jump up here. Then at that point, it starts over. You play the same thing. Like I said, it repeats, right? The right hand stays exactly how I played it, starting from the very beginning, and then this is where you add the jumping in, okay? So this is gonna take a little bit of practice. This is even hard for me to remember to move my hands exactly where I put them. So remember, the right hand is not really what you have to worry about. It's the left hand that's changing at this part. So now you go. Switch. Switch. This is where you jump up. Very tricky because you're doing a lot of jumping and your hands have to land exactly on the right spot. So even I messed this up still, and I've practiced the song for like a day and a half. So like I said, just be patient with yourself, and the more that you practice it, the easier it will become. But my number one practicing tip is to slow it down as much as you can without losing the rhythm of it. Because I know if you slow it down too much, it's hard to remember the rhythm of it. After you do that jumping, the whole thing repeats again. So then it's the same as we just went over, okay? Switch. Okay, let's go over that section again because it's very, very tricky to put this part together. Here we go. guys. So again, that will take a bit of practice just to get it down, but that is actually all we're gonna learn in today's video. Don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I will try and help out. But yeah, so that is all we're gonna learn in today's video, and that is about a minute of the actual song. So if you want to see the whole song, definitely also let me know in the comments below, and I may do an additional video just to cover the rest of the song. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I do new videos every week, and I appreciate all of you who watches my videos and learns something from them. All right, guys, see you next time.